You're listening to Lifted You Weight Loss with Annie Jensen, Season 2, Episode 7, Street Smart. Hello, darling. I'm Annie, and I'm here to connect with you. I know we understand each other. We show up, we live hard, and you and I do all of it, carrying the same burden. But here is the most beautiful truth that I've learned over years of struggling with my weight. We do not have to live with this burden. So come with me because you are not alone in this. I'm ready to share everything. My story, my friendship, and every piece of value I've gathered along the way. My purpose is to lift you as you move forward on your own path to light, loving, and lasting weight loss and build something that finally works for you. Darling, there is a life waiting for you on the other side of this process. So let's ease this burden. Let's build what's already within you. Together we'll create a lighter, lifted you. Are you street smart? Do you know someone who has some serious street smarts? Are you not street smart and you know it? I have one brother who is ridiculously street smart, a sister who is also. And then my other brother, I would say, has them, and I would say I have them, but not to a crazy level. Street smarts are legit. They are useful, and they're important too. To me, street smarts are the ability to read your situation, read the reality around you well, and then operate effectively inside it. A street smart person isn't necessarily the person who knows the most. That's not the point. They're the person who notices what's actually happening and then operates accordingly. They read the room. They recognize patterns, dynamics. They pick up on subtle cues around them. They know when something feels off, and they know how to tweak or change their own behavior based on what's happening around them. They certainly learn from experience, even if it's only the last 10 seconds of experience. And they understand that what works on paper does not always work in real life. They don't walk around the world thinking, well, technically this should work because ... No. They're not naive about their reality. They're not distracted by irrelevant details. And they focus. They ask themselves constantly, what's really going on here? What's actually happening? They gather the information quickly around them from their experience, and then they use it. So maybe we could think about it like book smarts tell you how something is supposed to work. Street smarts teach you how it actually works in a certain situation. All of this is to say that this is incredibly applicable to weight loss. And if you're a street savvy person, excellent. We're going to apply it directly to your weight loss. If you're not a street savvy person, excellent. We're going to learn it, recognize it, and apply it directly to your weight loss. By the end of today's episode, you're going to be able to recognize ways that you are street savvy and apply them to your weight loss efforts, and recognize some ways that you can tweak your thinking, your approach to be more effective in your weight loss. We're in the middle of our transformation on our weight loss path. Right now, we are in the I'm actually doing it phase. So we want to be able to recognize how you're actually doing what you need to do to lose weight, how you're actually being the version of yourself that lives inside, the version that we are trying to uncover and align with. Now, as you would guess, weight loss street smarts are not knowing more about macros or exercise or insulin or just nutrition in general. All very important. We must have book smarts. But you can know all of that and still struggle tremendously. That has been a big story of my life, knowing the things, but then on the streets, I struggle. Street smart people are savvy, and weight loss street smarts are all about becoming savvy about yourself. You know your streets. You know your neighborhood. You know your situation. You know your life. You know which corners tend to get you in trouble. You also know which routes work and which ones don't. Maybe some of the routes you've taken many, many times. You know what happens to you if you don't pack a lunch the night before work. You know the difference between I'm hungry and I'm fried and I want relief. You know that if you don't plan ahead for dinner, it's after work and you're tired, you're going to be tempted to make an easy choice that's not going to feel good in your body. You know what you feel like when you're beginning to wander off your path. So what I like about this is that weight loss street smarts are less about controlling yourself and more about knowing yourself, reading yourself, picking up on patterns, picking up on cues, reading the room, and then responding intentionally. Remember, street smart people think, what is actually happening here? And then they respond. Getting street smart about your weight loss is a fantastic reframe from the thinking ruts that we tend to get in. Thinking about becoming street smart in your approach to weight loss is a fantastic way to neutralize the obstacles that are lying in your path. So instead of seeing overeating habits or eating late habits or whatever habits you may struggle with as big boulders in your path that you have to climb over or work around, you can tell yourself you're going to be street smart about it. That is a reframe. That is a paradigm shift. I'm just going to recognize these habits for what they are, and then I'm going to respond intentionally to get what I want. This is so much smarter, so much better than landing in the heavy of, oh, I did it again. Oh, I want something so bad and it's so hard. Which, not to negate all of that, those feelings are real. But can you see how you can flip the switch in your brain and say, I'm going to apply my weight loss street smarts to this, not get stuck in the heaviness of my habits. Here are a couple of examples of this, of what applying some street smarts might look like rather than being weighed down by some habits or heavy desires that you may be used to having. A street smart person doesn't just notice the same thing happening over and over again and not react. If it happens once, it's interesting. You notice it. If it happens 15 times, that's information that a street smart person will absorb and then respond to. So instead of noticing, I just keep overeating at night, I just keep doing it, I can't not do it. Well, ask yourself, what's happening before it? Or what's happening the morning after? Well, I have something I'm nervous about tomorrow. Okay, that's getting street smart. Or I just noticed that this desire for food starts swelling up inside me on my way home from work or on my way home from anything. That's starting to get street smart. Well, what is it? Your brain is used to getting some type of response to that stimulus. A weight loss street smart person would start to ask herself then, all right, well then what do I need to do differently to try to trip this pattern up and go a different direction so that I don't get stuck there? I've shared that I have had that experience driving home from wherever, particularly work, but really anywhere, where for a while I was starting to feel the desire to eat something out of my kitchen, my refrigerator, my pantry every time I came home. So I had to start walking in through the front door and going upstairs instead of walking in through my garage, which leads right into my kitchen. It was simply a habitual pattern in my brain. And for a long time, I just was really frustrated with it, with myself, with the situation. But after a while, learning what was going on and recognizing it, applying my street smarts to my own situation and not getting weighed down by the heaviness of the frustration of it, I started to see some change. Self-judgment wants you to ask the question, what's wrong with me? Your weight loss street smarts will say instead, I've seen this corner before. I've seen this intersection before. What's happening here? What's actually going on? I once watched my younger brother, and I truly do not believe he would mind me saying this. He'd probably be really proud of it. I watched him work with a Verizon employee and work himself into some crazy upgrade that he was not eligible for. I watched the whole thing happen and I could not believe my eyes and my ears. I had to keep asking myself, what is actually happening right now? And I wasn't even completely sure what was happening until at one point my brother turned around over his shoulder and he winked at me. At that point, I knew what was going on. He'd found a way to work the system. We've got to find a way to work our own system. in your weight loss efforts, in your personal life, in your introspection and observation of your surroundings and your behaviors, your patterns, be as street smart as possible with yourself. Notice things. Take in what's actually going on. That's becoming present in your moment. And remove the judgment. That judgment isn't going to help you at all. Observe and respond. And when you're doing that, guess what? You are actually doing it. You are losing the weight. You are uncovering the real you on the inside. You're noticing what needs to change. You're taking steps to make those changes. You're removing the outer layers of that you who is waiting to come out on the inside. And you'll feel it. You're going to know that you are making those changes, that you're actually doing it because you're going to start to catch things sooner. You're going to recognize your patterns sooner, and you're going to feel empowered to make those little changes and feel those little shifts inside. You'll start anticipating and changing there instead of always feeling like you're reacting to your choices. You'll make adjustments based on what you've learned. And all of a sudden, you'll be able to recognize that your life looks a little bit differently. One way that I've noticed many times, but particularly this last week, is that I just eat less food. I truly do. I have changed the volume of food that I take into my body. That was so hard to imagine doing a few years ago. So hard to imagine going through Thanksgiving or just any day, not eating everything I wanted and how much I wanted. And truly, my desire has decreased, and I simply live happily, satisfied, not feeling deprived on less food. It truly is one of the best thoughts and the best feelings when I can recognize something in my weight loss efforts, something that feels uncomfortable that I don't want to do or I do want to do, and I can say, hey, I recognize this feeling. I recognize this situation. I have been here before. I know what this is, and I know that I can respond the way I want to. And that is what it means to actually be doing it. Some people are just more naturally street smart. They just have it. My sister is witty, she's quick, and she's so effective with it. For others, it comes more slowly. It takes more time. It comes in a different way. But this is the truth. You become street smart by being out there and doing the things, making your own mistakes in life, recognizing them, misreading situations, and then correcting course when you need to, paying attention, adjusting, and always, always trying again. That's how you get smart in your weight loss. I have spent years reacting and feeling and reacting and choosing and reacting. But street smarts change the way you see mistakes. When I was living in this reactive, heavy space, I would think, I screwed up again. And the heavy shame would set in. Someone developing their weight loss street smarts is going to think, interesting. I need to remember that. I need to remember how that felt and how I reacted so that I know that I can do it differently. A street savvy weight loss approach will consider the past as intelligence, information on how to move forward, not as evidence of why this is so hard for me and why I don't know if I can do it. And again, one of the greatest signs that you're making progress in this transformation is not that this is going to become effortless, although it will at one point as your weight loss doer becomes more developed. It's that you're going to recognize how much more skillful you are in navigating these situations that are more difficult for you. The hard feels doable. So become a savvy student of your weight loss history. It's not a record of what's gone wrong. It's information to tell you what you need to do to get it right. Okay? Do you know how many years I asked myself, why can't I get it together? When I could have been asking myself, what do I know now that I didn't know then? That is what a street smart woman will ask herself. I believe that we often give ourselves a very quick explanation for our own behavior. We are hustling and bustling and not taking the time to reflect and think. I'm going to offer a few statements here, and I would love for you to reflect and ask yourself if you've ever said anything similar to yourself in regards to what you've eaten or any choices on your weight loss path, okay? I just didn't care. I cannot control myself. I was being lazy. I'll own it. I was just being lazy. I sabotaged myself. I just want the food. I just wanted the food, so I ate it. Easy, natural things to say to yourself. But a street smart weight loss approach would say, hang on, is that actually what happened? Your street smart self may actually say, well, maybe you didn't care because you've been all or nothing thinking about your plan for 3 days. Maybe you being lazy meant you actually needed to go to bed a little earlier so you could feel better than you did today. Maybe the out of control moments happened after 8 o'clock p.m. because you were tired, and eating sugar, snacking, is the easiest way your brain can think of to offer you some relief. And maybe your self-sabotage is you just forgetting in the moment that you are the true, actual boss in your life. And you just let a moment get away with you. It doesn't mean that you sabotage yourself and you can't stop doing it. If you take some time to reflect without judgment, maybe your street smarts will tell you that what looked like a food problem was really an emotional regulation problem. And you've got some emotions that you need to start listening to. Maybe it's a planning problem and your in the moment tired brain just has a really hard time after 8 o'clock p.m. Your street smart person will know that about yourself and act accordingly. Maybe what you struggled with was an all or nothing problem or the lack of an appealing possible plan that you know you can follow through with. A street smart woman does not accept the first story that her brain hands her. Okay, think deeper. Be smarter than yourself. Be smarter than your situations, than your habits. Learn your tells, investigate, and find out what's really going on. And then approach it not from a heavy place of shame and of dread, but from a lighter place of possibility. If you notice you've stopped checking in with your hunger, or that you just start picking up food and randomly eating it, maybe you haven't gotten on the scale for several days because you don't want the information, or you start thinking about what you deserve. Maybe you'll hear yourself say, well, I've already blown it. These are some tells. These are some street signs. These are some indications that your street savvy you needs to get in there and figure out what's going on and then respond intentionally. Pick yourself up on your weight loss path, shift yourself forward so that you're facing forward on that concrete path and start taking little steps of movement. You'll get back on track. You'll start making progress again. Get savvy with yourself, not stinky, not mean or shamey. Get savvy, get smart, and respond, keeping your own best interest at heart the whole time. Time for some final thoughts. I cannot believe, truly, the longer that I work with this and spend time in this space, how much this work is simply identity work. That's what it is. It's finding the places within yourself that believe or live or feel a certain way, clearing it out and shifting it. We're just removing those layers that are on top of ourselves, our inside self. And approaching weight loss with a street smart, savvy way is one way that we can shift that identity pretty darn quick. Think about your own street smarts in your own life, or think about someone who just has them, and see if you can apply that way of thinking, apply that strategy, that approach to life to your weight loss. It'll shift your thinking, it'll lighten things up, and it's going to help you move forward. You've learned so much about yourself. You know so much. Now get street smart about it and put it to work. And you'll start to recognize that you are already actually doing this. Get ready to start talking about how we can keep moving. I'll see you soon, my darling. Take care.